Metamorphosis is an up-and-coming unreleased platforming horror game in the style of Fear and Hunger and Castlevania. It combines gorgeously creepy aesthetics and atmosphere with a brutally hard gameplay, strict item management, and cryptic puzzles to create an experience that kicks your butt and leaves you wanting more. Right now the game is only in the demo playtest phase, but I was able to get a playtest copy through Steam. So stay a while and listen while I tell you about an unreleased game that I think is gonna be huge. The game begins as Arya the nun wakes up in the chapel of a dingy monastery. Searching the shelves nearby, we find the strange device that speaks to us and also acts as our status and equipment screen. We can try to type in commands or ask it questions, but not much actually does anything. More on that later. With no real context about what's going on other than this cryptic blurb when we examine our rifle, we're let loose to figure things out for ourselves. On its face, Metamorphosis isn't so different from metroidvania games. Basic controls include a double jump, striking with the butt of our rifle, and a dash. We can fire our rifle by holding left trigger to aim and right trigger to fire. Hit the right shoulder button while aiming to switch between a flashlight and laser sights. We also have prayers, which are like spells and depend on our equipment loadout. This prayer, for example, lets us know what in the general area can be interacted with. The aesthetics are absolutely top-notch. I love the mashup of technology and religious imagery. The menu screen and graphics recall something like Evangelion to me. All areas of the game were impressive looking in a creepy, desolate way. There's a giant arm that comes down to pick stuff up off the ground. What on earth is going on here? While not actually within the version of the game that's available right now, there's tons of amazing looking art in the pipeline for it. This confessional booth acts as a save point and a place to heal up. We stay to confess our sins only to be greeted by this. She calls herself Mila and speaks cryptically about someone called the Painter and something called the First Sin. From what Mila says, it seems like the Rapture happened. The Left Behind engaged in a great war, and the world we're stuck in now is the end result. The land outside the monastery is a wasteland, just crawling with war machines and covered in landmines. Finally, we're told of something referred to as an angel atop a tower on the other side of the city. Let's talk about the difficulty, shall we? The monastery is treacherous. You need to aim and look ahead of yourself to make sure you don't jump into an instant death hole. The enemies are tough. The first thing I encountered was this head that falls out of this picture frame. Almost instantly, I get wrecked. Everything takes 8 or more hits to kill. You can shoot to do twice as much damage as melee does, but ammo is very limited. Better not miss. Getting into combat with these things is often a losing proposition because you're guaranteed to get hit at least once or spend a couple of resources. These bastards with railguns, they just shoot straight through the level architecture. They can almost one-shot you. Health drops are also in short supply, and resting at the confessional respawns enemies. And when you die, you go back. Way back. In true Fear and Hunger fashion, it's best to stay away from as many fights as you can. The level geometry is pretty tough as is and requires precise jumping even without these living paintings attacking you. And if that's not enough, the game is full of traps and trolls. Check out this room with 4 items to grab on either side. Take any longer than a few seconds and you're set upon by like 8 of these guys. Even worse is this hallway, where they make it really obvious that something is gonna happen. But you don't know what until you grab the treasure and... This guy is very hard to outrun without this special piece of gear that increases your dash distance a bit. There is an assortment of equipment in this game that can increase your hit points some, but it doesn't really help survivability. I didn't know where to go, so I tried to explore outside just to get wiped out. I decided to look for the before-mentioned painter inside the monastery instead. Finding my way to this dining room here, I slashed the painting and found a portal to the first boss. This fight took me a while because it turns out that dashing does not give you iframes in this game. Defeat the painter and the building disintegrates, leaving us nowhere to go but the tower mentioned earlier. By this point I had acclimated a little bit to the difficulty and I found it relatively easy to make my way through the war zone. At the very right end there's a warehouse or a factory. While most of the enemies can shoot you now, the game is somewhat generous with landmines you can cleverly use to kill the leftover war machines without alerting them. It's a long and arduous climb up to the top as these creepy bastards launch missiles at you from off-screen. I found myself backtracking all the way to the monastery every time I found new gear or activated a shortcut. Now, before we get to the end here, I want to briefly discuss what I didn't like about the demo. First of all, this is not a completed product. The devs are taking a lot of feedback, and I'm confident that the completed game will fix what I'm about to mention. First of all, I found the puzzles in the game to be just a little too obtuse. Check out this 4-digit lockbox in the dining room before the first boss. The clue to this combo is in the notes in this room here. The first number is easy enough, you can find it from one of the paintings early on, but this second number refers to a monster type that actually transforms when you shine your light on it. You don't actually meet this roach-like enemy until later in the game. I never met it at all in my playthrough, so I don't even have the footage. The third clue is also very obtuse. Ivory Stone Unbroken refers to the total number of statues in the monastery, but only the big ones. Again, nothing in the game tells you this. How did I find this out, you ask? Well, I looked at the developer's hints, of course. Never would have found that out on my own. Getting the lockbox code right gives you this ring that you can in turn use for another puzzle elsewhere in the game that I didn't manage to find. If you know what the ring is for and what happens, please comment below because I'm very curious. Other obtuse parts of the game include this building here where the entrance platform just crumbles as soon as you enter. You're supposed to realize that you can hit this plank to the left to give yourself an exit. Now, I'm not asking devs to handhold us through games, but I sincerely hope that they give people with middling puzzle-solving ability, like me, an out in the full game. Otherwise, I think they're going to risk people giving up on an otherwise excellent experience. There's a lot of jank in the menus right now. I generally play in 1600 by 900 just so I can keep an eye on levels in OBS while I record. I can't physically see the mouse in order to see what I'm doing here. I also can't scroll down in the menu here to see the rest of the item description. See how the options down here scroll with the buttons? I've accidentally closed out the game a couple of times just by fighting with the controls. Speaking of controls, I needed to remap the dash button to X on the controller just so that it made more sense to me. Originally it was the right shoulder button. That just didn't work for me in a fight. This isn't a complaint because, again, uncompleted product, but it seems like none of the strange device's functions are developed yet. I'm not sure what they have planned, but I think we're eventually supposed to be able to get clues or even solve puzzles by bouncing questions off the device. Right now, asking it questions or trying to have it remember something doesn't do anything. I tried mentioning the dev's name, but it doesn't seem to know who that is. I'm excited for where this can go, because I can't think of any other game I've played lately where you can ask freeform questions like this. Okay, here comes the end of the demo, so get off the ride now if you want to play through the game yourself. After an inordinate amount of dodging missiles, I found my way to the top of the tower. Luckily, there's a save point here. Arya prays to summon the angel, asking if there's anything in this world worth saving, and I guess not, because it decides to attack us straight away. This battle is really hard. Even with 4 100% heals and 12 shotgun shells saved up, it took a tremendous number of tries to get right. These fingers launching missiles at me made me feel like I was back fighting Flowey and Undertale. Learning the patterns isn't so hard, I'm just not enough of a pro gamer to keep it up for very long. Arya is seriously injured after the battle. She tries to limp away but is immediately confronted by the grotesquely tall Mila. It turns out the angel wasn't an angel at all. Whether or not she misled us in an attempt to get us killed is not known. The last thing we see before we lose consciousness is Mila approaching us. The demo took me 7 hours to get through, and as I stated before, I did not find all that there was to find. Overall, I'm incredibly excited to see where this goes, and I fully recommend checking it out if you're able to. Alright everybody, that's all for now. If you find out anything useful that I missed, please let me know in the comments. I love playing games with weird and unusual aesthetics, so if you know another game that might be a fit here on the channel, let me know about that too. And if you want to see more weird games, check out this video right here. Alright, see you next time.